Speaker, let me first begin by saying this thing called broad-based, I don't know where it exists. Personally, I don't recognize any entity called called broad-based. There is a government of Kenya Kwanza under the leadership of President William Ruto. Every cabinet secretary who serves in that government serves the Kenya Kwanza government. And I want to join what Senator Khalwale has said. Some of these individuals who joined government recently think they are there to represent their ethnic communities. That every time a cabinet secretary stands up, he tells you how much the Ministry of Energy has allocated to power projects in Nyanza. So the rest of us lawyers are sitting there wondering, Allah, so who is going to speak about the projects in Bungoma? Who is going to speak about the projects? Honorable Speaker, I have said on this floor that as a Senate, as a Parliament, it is the responsibility of all of us, irrespective of our political parties, to oversight the national governments and the county governments. Honorable Speaker, if there is a problem with a CS, that CS must account to Parliament as an institution, not even to their political parties or this thing monster they are calling broad-based. It doesn't exist in my view. So, Honorable Speaker, yesterday I saw at night, just before the game between Inter Milan and Barcelona began, I saw the CS of Treasury on Citizen TV. He has time to appear before Citizen TV, but he has no time to appear before this House. I refused to watch that interview and switch to the football match because I was expecting him here. The conversations that are important to me from that CS are the ones that happen here. Speaker, we have said, when I used to be in the SBC, that the CSs must write in good time to tell the House that they will not be showing up. If a CS insists on writing on the day before, that is absolute contempt, and they must be called out. Honorable Khalwale, trust me, for as long as I remain the senator of Nairobi, for as long as I remain a senator in this House, and the oath that I took there on the first day that I came to this House, there is not going to be a minister that we are going to, protect or babysit or cover up. It doesn't matter whether they come from ODM or from wherever. They are there to serve the public, and we will call them out, Honorable Speaker, as we have always done. So, Honorable John Mbadi, I will call him by his name, must know that as a House we are unhappy that he has time to attend rallies where he explains how much money Luos are going to get from this government, and he has time to go to Citizen TV to tell us lies about economic growth. When you read the newspapers today, data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Honorable Speaker, is saying that the economy has done the worst since COVID, that we have lost jobs, that salaries and wages have shrunk because of the taxation that has been imposed by this government. Then you go on Citizen pontificating there about the work that you are doing. Honorable Speaker, we will call out these cabinet secretaries without fear. Mimi siogopi mutu. We will say these things publicly because that is what we swore to do. Honorable Speaker, that CS, in fact, you need to confirm to this House if since he was sworn in as CS, he has ever appeared here. I have never seen him here. I have never seen him here. Where? Yeah. So, Honorable Speaker, this is an issue that we as a leadership in the Senate have to call out, and we have to insist that we have to do our oversight as senators, regardless of whatever monster people think exists in this country called broad-based. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. These are the questions. Number one, what has the government done to permanently address the root causes of the prolonged industrial action by lecturers at the Technical University of Kenya, which led to the closure of the university between 3rd February and 18th March 2025? B, could the government consider apportioning budgetary allocation to bail out the Technical University of Kenya from the prevailing financial crisis, as it did for Moi University, to forestall a collapse of the institution? And lastly, could the Cabinet Secretary also outline the government's strategy to generally address the challenges currently afflicting public universities, which include inadequate infrastructure, perennial strikes by the academic staff, and financial instability? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. These answers have been circulated to the Honorable Senators. Yes. You need not read them verbatim. You may even elect to paraphrase so that we save on time. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But on this one, Mr. Speaker, please allow me to read because it includes figures that are specific to TUK, then where it's a general response, then I'll be able to generally paraphrase. Mr. Speaker, the award of charter to the Technical University of Kenya as a full-fledged university was done on the 15th of January 2013. Since that time, Mr. Speaker, TUK has operated with chronic funding shortfalls. The monthly revenue is approximately 207 million, including 63 million that is given to them through capitation. This falls very, very short of the monthly expenditure of 314 million, which includes a wage bill of 272 million, which has not been met, contributing, Mr. Speaker, to a debt of 12.9 billion, inclusive of CBA's arrears of the cycle of 2017 to 2021. Mr. Speaker, because of these cash flow challenges, the university then resorted to paying net salary to all staff and was unable to pay any remit any statutory deductions, that is pensions, pay, and housing levy, or any third-party deductions, that is union dues, bank loans, SACCOs, welfare, insurance premiums, etc. These challenges, Mr. Speaker, led to industrial action by staff of the university, as indicated in the question. Mr. Speaker, there is a table that we've annexed there, table 2, that shows the particularization of the debt, including what is due to contractors, what is pending to pension, which is 4.3 billion, third-party funds, statutory deductions, banks, SACCOs, insurance, CBA arrears, staff claim, all totaling to 2.9 billion. To overcome these challenges, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with TUK, came up with a recovery plan, which included the following measures. There was an agreement that the government will give a direct support of 145 million for the period of January 2025 through to 30th of June 2025 to ensure that staff salaries are paid in gross and on time. We also agreed to offer conditional grants and enhanced capitation. The Ministry of Education will continue to channel conditional grants to bridge the budget gap with phased allocations over the next financial years from 2025-26 to 2031-2032 to cover gross salaries and enable the timely remittance of the statutory deductions. We came up with a structured plan of sorting out that debt. TUK has also put in place a recovery strategy anchored on 3 areas. They are going to increase student enrollment. They are going to implement cost-cutting measures, including staff right-sizing, and also organizational restructure and revenue enhancement, as indicated. Table 3 there, Mr. Speaker, indicates the pending bills payment plan that runs from 2025 all the way to 2031. Regarding the retirement benefits and the remittance of statutory and third-party deductions, TUK has undertaken to do the following. The TUK Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, originally established in 2009 and registered on the 12th of November 2013, was wound up by court on the 5th of July 2024. In the aftermath, TUK has engaged the Retirement Benefits Authority, the unions, that is WASU, KUSU, and KUDEA, and the receiver manager, liquidator, with a key meeting held on 30th of January 2025 and a follow-up schedule for 21st of May 2025 on the liquidation process. TUK has also undertaken to provide funds over the financial years 25-26 all the way to 2030 to settle outstanding liabilities of the wound-up TUK Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme in line with the overall recovery strategy. TUK has also requested the Retirement Benefits Authority to give the university authority to establish a new retirement benefit scheme since the old one was wound up. That would enable to ensure that the future financial deductions have a place to be utilized and for members who retire to get their benefits. Mr. Speaker, to the second part of that question, the government is committed to bailing out the Technical University of Kenya from the financial crisis, which, as I've indicated, started from day one. The government is committed to provide a net payroll support of 145 million, as I've indicated, for the period of January 2025 to 30th of June 2025. Thereafter, the support will be anchored in the budget of 2025-26 all the way to 2031-32. This will cover gross salaries and enable the timely remittance of statutory deductions. Part 3 of that question, Mr. Speaker, the university subsector, as we all know, has faced various challenges in recent times, largely occasioned by financial difficulties, leading them to be, a number of them being declared technically insolvent. Indeed, as you'd recall, the university's Academic Staff Union and the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU, issued strike notices in September and wanted to proceed to actual strike in October. The main issues that were raised were non-implementation of their 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreements and the delay in the conclusion of the 2021-2025 CBA. Key issues included the demand for basic salary increment by between 7% to 14%, the harmonization of allowances across universities, and the provision of car and mortgage scheme loans. Following negotiations, Mr. Speaker, the parties under the leadership of the Ministry of Education came up with a return-to-work formula, which was signed on the 26th of September 2024. The key terms and provisions of the return-to-work formula, Mr. Speaker, include the following: the salary adjustments, the last 2 years of the CBA, the 2021-25 CBA cycle, effective 1st of July 2023 to 30th of June 2025. It was agreed that for grades 13, 14, and 15, a 7% increment, salary increment. For grade 10, 11, and 12, a 10% salary increment. We also agreed on an annual automatic 4% increment. We agreed that the revised salaries would be effective October 2024. Retirement age was also sorted out. Transition provisions were provided to ensure that there is a smooth transition with the higher retirement ages until the expiry of the existing contracts. Harmonization of allowances was also undertaken beginning October 2024, which resolved the issues that were raised relating to different allowances being given by different universities. Budget enhancement, we gave commitments to address budgetary allocations for staffing promotions and related priorities. The Interpublic Universities Council, that is IPUCCF and WASU, were required to convene, and they did that convening, and they have undertaken the process of implementing the return-to-work formula. Mr. Speaker, in line with the return-to-work formula, the technical team composed of IPUCCF representatives and the 3 unions convened and worked out the figures that were required, and they came up with a figure of 9.7 billion. And then this figure was agreed to be spread out for the years 2024-25, 25-26, and 26-27 in order to ensure that they are taken care of, and therefore it led to a signing of a CBA on the 23rd of November 2024. The payments, Mr. Speaker, for 2021-25 commenced in December 2024 within the effective implementation date, with the effective implementation date being 1st of October, and we have adhered to it so far. To avert a recurrence of industrial disputes in the university subsector, Mr. Speaker, the government has committed to ensuring that negotiations for future CBAs commence at the start of each cycle to allow proper planning and budgeting. Since the implementation of CBAs is resource sensitive, we are also creating a legal and policy framework to ensure that our public universities are financially sustainable. Part of these include the introduction of the student-centered funding model, which replaced the DUC, under which universities were seriously underfunded. The ongoing law reform process is also geared towards ensuring that the governance frameworks in our public universities are effective efficient, transparent, and accountable and account to prudent use of university resources. We have also instructed our public universities to address staff issues as and when they arise, instead of overlooking them until they assume crisis proportions. Overall, Mr. Speaker, the measures to improve governance and sustainable financing at our public universities will also support the enhancement of infrastructure in our public universities. We have also encouraged our universities to work on alternative resource mobilization initiatives in order to minimize reliance on exchequer. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, indeed, I do have one supplementary question, but before I ask that supplementary question, I just need some clarity on the answer that has been provided by the CS. Honorable CS, you have said that you are supplying a net payroll support of 145 million, knowing that the monthly wage bill for the institution is 272 million per month. Can you clarify to me whether this 145 that you say is for the period January 2025 to 30th June 2025 is a monthly support of 145, or the 145 is for those 3 months, which would be a drop in the ocean when you compare with the monthly wage bill? Secondly, there's a mention of conditional grants that you say will bridge the budget gap. Unfortunately, you have not provided any figures, CS. Do you have a figure of the total amount of the conditional grant that is going to be supported, the institution is going to be supported with? And lastly, and last clarification, Honorable Speaker, there is language that is suspicious in the response on the recovery measures. I don't understand what you mean by staff right sizing. This is the first time in my entire life that I have heard that word, staff right sizing. Are you saying you're going to sack people? And if it is that is what you are saying, can it come from you clearly? Which cadre of staff are affected and the numbers? And then, Speaker, I can ask my supplementary question then. Because those were just clarifications. This language is, that language is confusing. What is right sizing? Are you cutting people down to size?
Proceed.
Now, Honorable Speaker, the supplementary question that I wanted to ask is whether this idea of transforming these middle-level colleges like Kenya Polytechnic into universities without sound financial and research grounding was ill thought, and given the inability of these institutions to self-fund from internal resources. He has brought that question very clearly, Honorable Speaker, that these institutions are unable to self-sustain because of the sources of funding. Would you still, as a government, support this policy of transforming these mid-level colleges like Kenya Poly into universities? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For clarification, first clarification, Honorable Sifuna, the 145 million is monthly support. Monthly support to cover a gross payment of salary from January 2025 to June 2025. The conditional grant figures, we have them inbuilt in the 12.9 billion figure that we are supposed to pay, which we spread out from 2025-26 year to 2030-31. There is a schedule of how much per year we are giving so that that figure can be met. The idea was, take the 12.9 billion, spread it out because the government cannot afford to pay all of it at once. Spread it out because, for example, if you take the 4.3 billion, that is the amount for pension, we know it is not required all at once. So we spread that figure out so that at least when people retire, they do not go home without any money. So we put in some money current so that when you retire, you are getting money, and we keep increasing that figure so that by the end of 2031, we'll have cleared the debt and will be in a position of sustainability. On right sizing, Mr. Speaker, this is rationalization of the staff. What I will explain further, Honorable Senator. What we found is that in universities, the ratio of teaching staff to non-teaching staff is supposed to be 70 to 30. But what we have in most of our institutions is the opposite. We have academic staff that are 30 to 70. So right sizing or rationalization is as you continue employing, you see where do you need to employ and where do you need to release. For example, if a casual or somebody is on contract and you find is in the 70% portion, you do not replace that person. You let them go at the end of their contract so that you have an opportunity to bring this other side above in order to right size. There is going, of course, to be issues relating to sending people home, but that is dependent on a program that would work if that becomes necessary, just like what we've done in Moi. What we did in Moi, we agreed that the first thing that will happen is the people whose contracts are coming to an end and are not required to be renewed because they're in the category of where you have more than you need, you don't renew their contract. But then, when you move to want to deal with the rest of the group, let's say you want to send them home, you have to work using the normal, because it's a labor right, using the normal process. Discuss with them, discuss with the unions, and you must have funds if you are sending people home to pay them so that they go home. So these are the strategies or structures that we put in place. One, to ensure that we have sustainable programs in the universities, but we also do not offend the rights of the employees. So we are not just going to sack people and tell them, go home. We are going to work with them and with the unions to ensure that we have a program, a transition program, where we are going to be able to ensure that we are reaching the right level. That is the right sizing, rationalization that we are talking about. But we are going to work together with them. We are not going to wake up and say, this group go home. There could even those who are willing to voluntarily come and say, I want to go home, can I have my redundancy package and stuff like that. Now, the issue of transforming these mid-level colleges into universities, of course, came about because there was a number of students, as you very well know. The university spaces, if you remember, was that if people do exams and they're supposed to go to universities, what used to happen is you start from the position of how many spaces do we have in the universities for us to admit. Then you do a cutoff point and say, this year we are taking students from B and above. So you find that even the people who are actually qualified to go to universities were not getting the spaces. That is the basis upon which the transformation of these middle colleges to universities came about. But where we are now, the conversation needs to be had to confirm whether we have enough. For instance, this year, the spaces we have in universities to accommodate students, the available spaces are 305,000. The people who qualified on the C+ to go to universities are 246,000. That means we have almost 60,000 available space to admit other students. So the question would be, do we really need to do or create more universities? Because we are not getting enough students to admit. So it's a conversation that we'll have, and at each and every discussion, this is the rationalization, the discussion, the assessment that needs to be done, including the financial implications of it, to see whether it is possible to upgrade. But otherwise, currently we have almost 79 universities in the country, for 3 of them being public, the rest being private. So we have enough spaces to admit all our students. So it's a conversation, as I said, that would need to be had depending on the need. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.